So Spring Season 2024 for Splatoon 3 has been out for about a week now, so I've had some time to play with the new Brella, the recycled Mach 124. You know, I still don't even know the name, I just keep calling it Brella or just recycled. So that's lovely. I don't have a script in case that wasn't obvious. But on today's video, I want to talk to you about the weapon, what I think about it. Is it any good? Is it bad? I have some gameplay for you, so we have some stuff to go over. If you don't know, I've played Brella a ton in S2. I mean, Sorella Brella for a really long time, and same for 10 Brella. I've 5-starred Undercover as well. Yeah, 5-starred Sorella, I've 5-starred Undercover. I'm working on the 10s and these. Eventually they'll happen. I do want a 4-star Order Brella, even if I'm not fond of it. But we have the recycled Brella 24 Mach 1. That's a mouthful. Don't blame me for forgetting it. It's been like a week. I'll get it eventually. So, okay. To answer whether or not I think this weapon is good or not, we have to talk about the main weapon first, and then we can talk about the kit real quick. So, main weapon, range-wise, is very similar to the normal Brella, but the thing with this one is it shoots a thin line, but it has a bit more consistent damage at long ranges. As you can see, that 2-shot, even though the first one only did 27 damage. It maxes at 90 damage, each pellet without fall-off does 15, so that's 4 pellet, for example. That's pretty cool. You have Line Marker, which can combo with that. Also pretty cool. Sure. If we want to, let's say, compare the ranges real quick, or at least, you know, painting ranges. This will be recycled. I have motion on, so this is a bit difficult. I'm just going to walk sideways. So that's regular Brella, so it's maybe like a little bit longer. We can do Undercover. I am walking backwards a little bit now that I'm noticing, yeah. Okay, so it's like, it's the Brella and that are basically same-ish range, right? Undercover paint's a little bit longer than Rogue Brella. I am walking backwards. This is why I should turn motion off when I do this, but it's not meant to be perfect. It's just a quick comparison. If you want actual numbers, you can look for that. Intent is this, right? So immediately you'll probably notice paint-wise, this one's a bit thinner, kind of. It's not really gritted paint, because you can see all of the other Brellas have sort of this like big splotch at the end. This weapon doesn't really, and that's because the pellets are all together. So it's kind of a trade-off. You will paint worse with this than like a normal Brella, but that trade-off is that you will do high damage numbers at those ranges, because regular Brella hitting those kinds of damage values at that range is not really feasible. Like, this is 90 with this, right? But with 10, that'd probably be more like, you know, that can be 85, but realistically, it might be like 50, 60 kind of ranges. Undercover, you max at 40, you can hit that, but you know, compared to Reg Pro, that's really where the difference comes in, because you are simply not hitting 81 at this range, very likely. So the appeal of this weapon is definitely the more consistent damage at long range. So, okay. The other thing with this weapon is that your shield launch is pretty wide paint, honestly. And the shield regen is fast. That's only about 3 seconds. So, you know, it doesn't chain perfectly, but if you get good at it, you can kind of time them together without too much downtime. However, with the shield, it's extremely flimsy. I'm not 100% sure on the HP value. I believe it's Undercover shield durability, but Brella has a property where once it's detached, it takes half damage. I don't quite remember if this state is 200 HP. You know, you'd think I would look at this. You know, in fact, actually, you know, I have the power of editing. Let's look at this right now. Yeah, okay, so after a quick back check, it is 100 HP and Undercover is 200, so yeah, that would line up. This is rather than Undercover until it detaches, then it is equivalent to an Undercover. So, very, very, very flimsy shield. So, what I've noticed when you're playing with this thing is that, yes, while you can, like, 2-shot people, you need to be really good with it. If you miss, like, a single shot and they have the time to melt your shield, you're probably dying. So that's pretty scary. You would imagine the playstyle is like, oh, you just follow the shield. Except that's kind of hard. Look how fast it goes. You know, even if you theoretically had run speed, like, I don't have any on right now, like, that's kind of obscene. So I don't really think you're supposed to follow it so much like that. You can do plays like that, but I would treat this more like a pseudo-curling in a way. That you can use it to kind of, you know, fake an approach or like go in like that, but it, you know, it's not going to be like a tent where you shoot it and you're like, oh, I gotta hug the shield and do this. Like, no, you can't really do that with this thing. That's a bit different in that regard. In terms of builds, I've tried QR, I've tried Mobility, I've tried Triple Marker for fun, although admittedly I only did that last night and that last one is not so much of a serious build as it is just for fun. But honestly, the way this thing plays, I think QR is probably the way to go. Like, I like the comeback QR route because you're probably going to die a lot, because I feel like this Brella is going to be going for a lot more of those like kind of like ballsy plays. Especially when the kit comes to mind. I didn't really talk about it yet, outside of Marker having the potential to combo with the main weapon. With this kind of kit, and the fact that Brella's paint isn't really great outside of shield launch, you can't exactly play slow. Because Bubble's not the kind of special that'll add value like immediately at like a range. As the main weapon short range, you have this to annoy people, maybe tap people at a distance if you're good, sure. But you have Bubble. It's a little weird because this is an immobile special. So it feels like this weapon wants to kind of be annoying and like be a resource drain with launching a million shields and having the bubble, and you can kind of enable yourself to set up a bubble, you know, follow the shield, and you know, maybe they'll break it, but then it can pop a bubble here in an important part of the map, right? So that's kind of cool. But where I think this thing really struggles is retakes. Because when you're at disadvantage, like, cool, you could do high damage at this range, sure. But that gets awkward when you're at disadvantage, because, like, oh, if this is my spawn, there's, like, people down there, like, yeah, I can maybe hit them, but that's a bit hard. So, you know, between not having a bomb and, like, Bubble being a bit awkward on retake, and, you know, you can do this, but you can't exactly follow that between the speed, and that's not exactly safe, and it's a little bit telegraphed, so it's kind of hard to get back in with this thing when people actually know how to lock out well. Oh, also, that's another quirk that I'm not fond about. I don't know if it's a bug or maybe just a byproduct of the fact that shield launches so fast. If you like detach it as you jump sometimes, especially at like kind of weird angles, sometimes the shield kind of just goes in a completely different direction. You know, it's funny that I say that and yet I can't manage to replicate it now. But trust me, if you play this for a bit, you'll definitely have moments where you're shooting the shield like there and it goes flying like here instead. Take my word on it. If you don't believe it, just try it long enough. You'll see. It'll come. But yeah, this Brella's kind of awkward. It's built to kill, but its special is not really offensive. It's more like a advantage tool, kind of like a win more sort of special. So it's a bit weird. Angle shooter has combo potential, but it's also kind of awkward. It's not a lethal to poke. This Brella also will struggle to deal with people, you know, sitting at like high angles and like behind walls and stuff. Like if there's a guy up here and I'm here, say it's like Scorch or whatever, like you can't really do much to them. So again, I think the QR playstyle of like kind of like having to like sort of force things. That might have been an example of what I was talking about earlier. It's a little bit weird. Yeah, this weapon kind of has to make plays and be aggressive. And like, you know, naturally you would probably want that, right? Because this Brella trades HP on the shield and durability and like a bit of its painting output at long range in exchange for the ability to kill. So in terms of the kit, I think it's fun, I think there's an idea, but I definitely think a second kit might do this weapon many more favors in the future. So in terms of how good I think it is, I don't really think it is right now. I think it's kind of the sort of weapon it's sort of scary when your weapon is like this kind of range, right? Because you can get two-shot. But I feel like if you're something like a Squeezer, you know, a 96, Deco, just generally a longer range weapon, especially stuff like Bamboo Stamper, they should destroy this weapon. This weapon's like shield HP is like nothing. Like, mathematically, if I'm not mistaken, if I hold shield open like this, I'm pretty sure one Stamper horizontal might just kill it, because if not, then yeah, vertical would definitely one-shot it. But yeah, it's very, very, very flimsy. Now, I will say, I do think the weapon is quite fun, and, you know, because we're decently late into this game's life cycle, it won't take long to get a second kit. In terms of what I want on that, I'm not entirely sure yet. I did not mention this earlier, but the ink efficiency on this weapon is... it's not the worst, but it's definitely not the best. By default, you get 14 shots in a tank, so it's a 6, 7. So, you know, not amazing, not bad. For comparison, regular Brella as of the last buff is like 18. But that one might guzzle your ink a bit more because of the whole shield flaring thing. And that's another thing with this weapon. Shield flaring refers to when you like open and close shield repeatedly. It's really ink hungry on this thing. And, you know, the shield launch itself doesn't take much ink on this. You know, maybe that's like 10, 11%, somewhere in that range. And there's only maybe like half a second of white ink, so it's not bad on that front. But, you know, opening and closing shield like this just guzzles your ink tank, and I think that might have to do with the fact that the detachment is a very quick thing, as opposed to the other Brellas. That's kind of rough, honestly. I wish the weapon was a bit less ink hungry for doing that, or just more ink efficient on the whole. That, or, you know, at least this, I wish this was like a wider trail, because this is really not great paint. And the kit itself does not paint very much at all. Like, yeah, Angle Shooter can get like funny, like ping pong, sure, but that's really not good paint output. But yeah, first impression, not particularly great. I do think it's fun though, so I'm definitely messing with it. I don't know if I'll, you know, play with this one enough to 5-star. There's like a million weapons in this game I want to play, but it's fun. You know, I like it. I think that's, you know, hopefully a decent coverage on the weapon, you know, what I think it's good at, what I think it's poor at. But I think that'll cover it for this video. I will have a follow-up to this video tomorrow in which I actually have some gameplay of the weapon because, you know, I was thinking about making that one video before, but as I started editing, I actually kind of ended up liking the length of this video today being like 10 minutes. I think that's a pretty, you know, nice, digestible kind of amount of stuff. So tomorrow will be the gameplay video on Recycled. But if you enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate it if you gave it a like, if you know, commented what do you think about the weapon, have you had fun with the success, builds, that kind of deal. And to subscribe if you're new, because, you know, I want to make the channel grow, and any kind of feedback like that is just going to encourage me to do more. So I appreciate all of that. I hope you all have a great day. I'm going to go back to editing for tomorrow, I guess, actually, yeah, because I'm just recording this right before I edit the gameplay part, so that'll be for you guys tomorrow. I'll see you.